Good morning. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon. It's noon. We are running like few seconds late today, but rest assured that we have a bomb content ready to share with you. We are going to talk about programmatic media placement. And let me get into YouTube. Sorry about that. These things are a little bit funky. All right, well, this is going to have to work. All right, how's everybody going? I know my phone is showing on the YouTube live, but it's all right. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. We are going to make it work. There you go. Now the light is in there. Anyway, so we're having one of these days. So today, welcome to the Programmatically Correct. We're going to have some pretty cool stuff to talk about. Today we're going to cover programmatic media strategies, programmatic media strategies. So I'm very excited about today's conversation. Just like what we did on Monday, we're going to go ahead and share our screen so that we get to show you different, like just to give you visuals about what we recommend. So if you're on Instagram, hi everybody, thank you and welcome. We appreciate you. This is the Programmatically Correct show where we demystify programmatic media for the busy digital marketer. You're looking into maybe scaling your programmatic media strategies, or you're looking into adding programmatic media as a strategy, you're in the right place. Every Monday and Thursday, we go live on Instagram, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, including YouTube, to talk about different things like what you should know or start knowing where to start when it comes to programmatic media. So in the last month, we've covered quite some ground. We talked about the differences between, sorry, I'm drawing blank. Okay, we talked about the programmatic ecosystem. We talked about the life of an ad impression, what that entails. So whenever you log into a website and you see an ad that's shown to you, and this week and next month, we're going to cover every day. We're going to cover specifically on a programmatic media tactic that you should consider. So very often when you look into a new marketing strategy or an advertising strategy, we don't always know what there is out there to offer. So that's what we're going to do. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to cover audience-based tactics. Again, we're going to talk to cover audience-based tactic. All right, so I'm going to share my screen here. Let's do this. Boop. Perfect. All right, so let's talk about the different tactics. So on Monday, if you didn't join us on Monday, make sure you check out the YouTube videos or on LinkedIn or any social media mentioned forward. But we talked about the different things that we're going to cover. So different tactics: audience-based, location-based, contextual, native. And then we'll go into placement, which is just maybe the format in which you're placing your ad: display, mobile, streaming video, streaming audio, you name it. So in today's conversation, let's go ahead and talk about audience targeting. So I love this meme right here on Instagram. You won't be able to see, but I really pretty much love this meme because it has Liam Neeson and it says, "I will find you and I will show you a highly specific Facebook ad." Even though this is specific to programmatic media, I thought this was genius, and this is the best way to explain what we're going to cover. So audience targeting can come in different shapes, form, and spaces. You have behavioral audiences, you can have retargeting, you can have lookalike or predictive modeling, and then you can have a combination of different of those audience tactics. So let's remember that. So the first thing we're going to talk about is audience targeting from a behavioral perspective. And when we talk about behavioral audience targeting, we talk about first, second, or third party data. So anytime you hear a vendor or anytime you hear somebody in our industry say, hey, we're going to talk, behavioral targeting is this, that's what they meant. It's an audience that was created based on first party data or second party data or third party data. So on the screen for the Instagram, I apologize, you cannot see it, but I strongly recommend that you join on YouTube as well, just to have the visual. On YouTube Live and LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live, you're able to see the screen. So I pulled this really cool visual, a visual explanation of the difference between first party, second party, and third party data from IAB Australia. And the source is Programmatic 1x1. So in order to utilize second and third party cookies, you utilize second and third party cookies to identify and target an audience that will be receptive to your campaign. So second party data is usually defined as having access to somebody else's data, a publisher's data. So the best way I can explain this is that you have a Walmart and then you have a Target. It's just like if Target's team reach out directly to Walmart's team and say, hey, can we have access to your data? And Walmart says, bet, here you go. And then that's second party data versus Target going via DMP or a data provider to purchase Walmart data via the DMP. That would be considered third party data. And of course, first party data is Target's using their own maybe website traffic data. So that is the best way to really identify the difference between first party, second, and third. So just to recap really quickly. First party data is your own data. You're a publisher, you're a brand, you are target.com, and you're able to use the data that's coming through target.com in every single domain or via their app because they have a Target app. Second party data would be like Target reaching out directly to Walmart. So think the direct partnership here and Walmart saying, cool, here's our data. Third party data is Target reaching out to data provider like Experian or Bluekai and asking Bluekai to give them Walmart shoppers data. So Bluekai will go into their data and then they'll pull audience profile that Target can use based on Walmart shoppers and based on how they were able to track that data. So best practice when it comes to using those different audience targeting tactic is a combination. It works really well to use third-party data with a specific location, with a specific message. Another positive thing about this tactic is the fact that you have the ability to really be granular. What I mean by that is just going back to our Target example. Target is trying to reach Walmart shoppers. So you can literally be as granular as people that shop at Walmart stores in a specific city or a DMA, let's say, that have purchased a specific amount of money on a weekly basis or on a daily basis. That's how granular you can be when it comes to third-party data. Again, that's how granular you can be. So that's one of the beauty of third-party cookies, and that's why when Google announced the third-party cookies deprecation, everybody freaked out because we might not be able to be as granular when it comes to our targeting, or so we thought. And then the final recommendation here when you look into audience targeting, behavioral audience targeting, is identifying like a trusted DMP. Usually DSPs that you're using will have partnership with DMP. So like the Trade Desk will have like already access to Experian data, to Lookalike data, to Excelate data, to New Stars data, you name it. So the best way to know which one is best, my recommendation specifically for you buyers or for your team, is to test the audience. There's no easy, clean way to do it. There's no secret sauce here. You have to test the data provider. If you are feeling overwhelmed because there's 1,075 million of them out there, then you can reach out to their sales team or their product manager team. I'm talking specifically at the data provider. Let's say you want to understand a certain segment that's available to you within your DSP, whether it's a Trade Desk, Media Mouth, you name it. And so you see that is from Excelate. So you can reach out to Excelate and say, hey, I'm running in this DSP. Can you explain how this audience was created? And very most likely that that product manager or the data provider support team is going to respond, because the more they educate us on how their data is being aggregated and how those audience profile are being created, the more we will use them, right? So very often, I've never gone back, I've never had a data provider that I reached out come back to me and be like, nah, sis, you're on your own. Most likely they will send you back like some type of information to explain how that data was created. And I also recommend that you go via your DSP, because they already have that partnership. So most likely they'll have a contact, so you don't have to Google or LinkedIn them. You can reach out to the DSP support, ask them, hey, can you help me understand what the segment is, the difference between those two segments, and then they'll reach out, they'll explain to you the best they can, or they'll give you a contact. So that's a quick, that's like a little sunset tip here. So the best way to use audience targeting, or when to use it. Behavioral audience targeting can be used almost for anything. Demand capture, upper funnel, or lower lower funnel, because as greater as you can be, you're either targeting consideration or people that are already in market, or people that are already frequent shoppers. So that might be a lower audience targeting. Or you can do a demand capture. Hey, I know that those people have shopped at Walmart at least once. Again, using our Target and Walmart example. Okay. So the next thing we want to cover is, the last thing you want to do, and I think that's probably the most important when targeting behaviorally. You want to be able to have like great creative and placement test. Like, please test messaging. Make sure that the best performance always comes. I'm gonna sound really cliche, because the message was relevant to the audience that you're targeting. So if you have the ability of being granular with your the audience targeting, make sure you try to be as granular with the messaging as well. If you are directly targeting, again, based on Walmart shoppers, then make sure that maybe you engage with Walmart shoppers versus just reaching out to a Nordstrom shopper. The Nordstrom shopper might not be faced by the pricing, but versus a quality, whereas a Walmart shopper might just be more focused on the quantity, meaning the pricing. So you have to be careful with that. So in the next slides, I think I take it in a little bit deeper, but I'm going to go ahead and skip through here because we've covered some of this data. But as a reminder, as a refresher, first-party data is that, according to IBO Australia, they define it as highly relevant data acquired via your user interaction on your website, or from your marketing initiatives and your CRM or your apps. So again, as Target, I guess we're going to roll with the Target example today. So as Target, just realizing like, oh, we have billions of people coming to our website every day. We have billions of people downloading our apps. That data we're able to use, profile, and segment into our marketing strategies and into our programmatic advertising. Second-party data is having direct access to a trusted and second-party partners. First-party data, again, I gave the example of first-party data, Target using their own data. Second-party data is Target reaching out to Walmart to use Walmart's data. So it's a direct partnership. Walmart received the request. At this point, it's not done programmatically yet. Like, it's literally them calling each other and saying, "Hey, can I use your data?" And the other one is like, "Bet, use it." And then you are able to use it programmatically after you receive the data. Third-party data is Target reaching out to Xlate or LiveRamp saying, "Hey, do you have Walmart shoppers data?" And Xlate or Bluekai comes back to Target and say yes, and then they give them the data that way. So you're using the data provider's data. And I give the example and I give the tips that if you're running a campaign in a DSP, you have the ability to access the definition of the segment via either your DSP support or via that data provider. And there's never been a situation where I've reached out to a data provider to ask explanation about a data segment, and they've came back to me and say, "Yeah, you're on your own, sis." They've always provided some level of explanation in terms of how this particular segment I'm looking at, Walmart shoppers frequently in the last 2 weeks or 2 times a week and spends less than $100, they're able to tell me exactly how they're pulling this data and making that audience profile. I think that's a good way to okay, I was gonna say something, but I think that might be too confusing. So next audience targeting that we're gonna cover today is retargeting. It's a remarketing strategy. You are all very familiar with retargeting. The best way to use retargeting or implement retargeting strategies into your programmatic advertising is to make sure that your first party data is being tracked and measured correctly. Not to go into a lot of details, anything, as long as you have a tracking container placed onto your website, you will be able to use that first party data in different ways and across different technology. So there's no remarketing without tracking confirmation. Let me just start here. A good way, best practices when it comes to retargeting. Again, I mentioned on the slide like tracking and measurement, creating remarketing audiences at all stages of the conversion funnel. I remember training teams and on the tag management side and letting them know like best practice is, yes, place your container, which will allow you to diversify targeting. So I'm talking about making sure that you create an audience for each of the key pages. If you have a checkout process that takes 5 steps, make sure you have, of course, the all-site remarketing, but make sure you also implement step 1, retargeting, separated from step 2, step 3, step 4, and make sure that each of those steps are suppressed. So if you're going to target somebody that literally just entered the information and that happened to be step 2, make sure that step 1, step 3, step 4 are all excluded. So you only retarget them. That's the positive with doing key pages remarketing is the fact that, yeah, you're also being more granular and you have the ability to test different messages. Hey, did you forget to enter your address or whatever? The cons, like maybe the downfall to that, is that with suppressing everything else, your audience size is reduced. But what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to make sure that you get that conversion to continue across the different steps? Or are you just trying to retarget everybody and their mamas? So make sure you take that into perspective. I mentioned that on the slide too, creating additional page views, suppressing audiences, and then when to use it, demand generation or lower funnel. And retargeting is not always possible in all industries. I know that the pharmaceutical industry and some healthcare industry, you cannot utilize remarketing. So always remember that if you're working in those two fields. I'm pretty sure there are other industry restrictions that prevents you from using remarketing in your strategy. But literally, if you can use remarketing, you should reuse it You should use remarketing on every single thing. You should. Okay, so the next on the slide, I just put a quick image of all of the audience targeting, like all of the current partners that are looking at identity link partners. I briefly mentioned how third-party cookies are being deprecated in the next couple of years. I personally don't think that will ever happen because Google is not showing us that they have their things together, and it's too risky for them to get rid of them without a plan. But I did want to show you that there are options out there. If you're using a lot of third-party data right now, let's not panic. We have options. We have a lot of great, very great partners out there that are already working on another solution outside of third-party cookies. Okay, and that slide was pulled from Prohaska Consulting. Okay, so we have one more to review, I believe. So far, when it comes to audience-based targeting or programmatic tactics, audience-based targeting, we've reviewed behavioral, which involve first, second, and third party. We've reviewed retargeting specifically. I wanted to highlight that one, which involves first-party data. And now we're reviewing lookalike modeling, which is also known as predictive modeling. So lookalike, the best way to understand lookalike is literally by its name. You're pulling similar traits or targeting or reaching to people that have similar traits from the ones that are already converting on your website. So the best advice here is to pull lookalike model based on conversion, an audience that's already converted, or based on those different steps that I mentioned, step 1, step 2. That is one of the most successful way to use lookalikes. The beauty of lookalikes is that there's going to be reach. So you want to be able to have as niche as possible of a targeting characteristic. So what I mean by that is that maybe use your an audience that converted as a lookalike, okay? Or use a specific pages that you want to maybe increase reach from, or awareness, or incremental reach from. So in the example of educational clients or brands such like university, maybe you're trying to increase reach or awareness for your nursing programs that's starting in a couple months. Having a tracking code on your nursing degree page and then pulling a lookalike from that page might be something you want to consider. Best practices when it comes to lookalike is, of course, your tracking measurement has to be on point. When we say tracking, is specifically if you want to use first-party data that's coming from site traffic, and then you want to have a certain data volume. Like if you have a user pool below 10,000 pixel hits, maybe not, or maybe wait for it. Or if you have less than 1,000 pixel hits, the larger that user pool, the better the lookalike audiences will perform. Again, I'm not talking about the lookalike characteristic being large. I'm talking about that audience, that site traffic audience that you're pulling from. Other best practices outside of tracking measurement, data volume, first-party data. You can use it with first-party data. You can pull lookalike modeling or predictive modeling based on your CRM data. And when to use it. Mid-funnel tactics. Again, maybe your budget is very strict and you want to be strategic when it comes to your awareness strategy. So you don't want to target everybody in the ops. You want to target specifically. Then lookalike might be a good awareness or mid-funnel tactics. So, but remember, you have to have your tracking on point and you have to have a certain volume of site traffic or CRM. When to using increasing incremental reach. Again, I just mentioned that, like, you want to be able to target people that look and digitally behave the same as the ones that are converting or your target consumer. The benefit of lookalike modeling is like it says in the slide, less human effort, quality lookalike audiences, increased brand popularity, again, because you're targeting people that are already your ambassadors, people that look like your brand ambassadors, enhance of audience targeting, improve audience engagement. So there's a lot of benefit things when it comes to lookalike modeling. So I strongly recommend that you also have that in your strategy. So this is all I wanted to cover today. Again, it was every day this week, we're going to make sure, this month and next, we're going to make sure to highlight a programmatic media tactic specifically. So today we covered audience-based, behavioral audience targeting, which are pulled from first, second, and third party data. I wanted to highlight retargeting specifically because it is an excellent strategy to have depending on your restriction in your industry, your targeting restriction. And I mentioned healthcare, so check it out. And then the last one we just talked about was lookalike modeling. So lookalike modeling is actually an excellent strategy to consider, especially after you had quite a few volume, or you have the data volume. And data volume here can be understood by many things. You can understand it as your website traffic onto your key pages, not only the whole website, or it could be also understood and used with CRM data. If you have customers, a list of customers, of course, that you've gathered the right way, then you could use CRM data to pull a lookalike audiences based on that. So thank you so much for hopping in today. I know the session today was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to let you know that there are options. Behavioral audience targeting is super. It's a great strategy to implement into your overarching paid media strategy or advertising strategy. It works really well with things like search and paid social strategy. And even if you're working in Facebook, you already know that you're able to use certain key pages and pull lookalike model based on those pages. So basically, we are recommended to do the same thing outside of the walled garden that is Facebook. So thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited about next week. On Monday and Tuesday, we are attending Programmatic IO in New York City. So if you see me, come say hi. And I wanted to end with the fact that this live series is inspired by my consulting firm, Ellen Parker Consulting. Our signature service, which is called the Insertion, and it's a done with you programmatic training solution, perfect for multi-six-figure brands and agency partners who wants to scale their revenue offering programmatic media as a service while maintaining their high-touch, high-quality business model. So head over to ellenparker.com if you want to find out more information. DM me wherever you're seeing this, leave a comment, email me at info@ellenparker.com. Before we end, I like to end with a word of wisdom. And on Monday, I've suggested that you start doing some brain exercising to make sure that you're building your mindset and your mental health, because positive thoughts fuels into positive actions. So make sure you take some time to either write down all that you are grateful for. I know you are grateful for at least a couple of things. Write it down, put it on sticky notes, and make sure you read it every day, because you're worth it, you're deserving, and there's a reason why you're in this place and in this room. So have a wonderful weekend, y'all. Next Monday will be stream living really quickly from the from the Programmatic IO conference. I'll make sure to give you my 2 cents in terms of how it is going on. Of course, it'll only be the morning session. But on Thursday, I will be continuing this. So on Thursday, we'll talk about location-based targeting. Okay? All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, and make it a wonderful day. Bye.